Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk about a topic that I'm super passionate about. We're going to explore why having people in your life because you want them and not because you need them. You get to eat the meat and spit out the bones, meaning you get the best of people without the parts that don't serve you. First, let me start by defining what transactional relationships are and what they mean to me. At their core, these relationships are based on mutual benefit. So, the whole narrative of transactional relationships are selfish, you're using people, blah, blah, blah. Keyword here, mutual benefit. A fair exchange is no robbery. You're getting something from someone that you value, and they're getting something from you that they value. Both people bring something to the table, whether that's emotional support, physical connection, financial advice, financial support, whatever it is, there is a fair exchange. And the beauty of these relationships is that there are no heavy expectations. With transactional relationships, it's not unconditional love. There's conditions. There's conditions to your love. With transactional relationships, if you stop doing or providing what that other person wants, they are no longer going to provide what you want from them to you, and vice versa. So it is a conditional relationship. I mean, I know that sounds really, really hard to hear, especially for the girlies that have an abandonment wound. And I'm not saying that in a shady way because I had an abandonment wound. And I don't even know why I had an abandonment wound. Actually, when I think deeper down, I think I do know why I had an abandonment wound. But when I grew up and learned about other women's stories, I'm like, dang, my story isn't as bad as some of these other women. And, I get into comparing or whatever. But regardless, an abandonment wound is an abandonment wound. So the idea that not only can someone leave you, scare you when you have an abandonment wound, but the fact that with transactional relationships, they will leave you. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. They will leave you. You will leave each other once you are no longer providing what the other person wants and needs. And a lot of relationships today, especially situationships, are disguised as loving traditional relationships, but they're not. They're really just transactional relationships, and they end when the other person is no longer providing what they wanted from them. So knowing that this is the case going into it, not only does it soften the blow, but it makes everything super crystal clear. There's no misunderstanding. There's no heavy expectations. Honestly, sometimes it may hurt, but there's no super hard feelings. There's no, I thought you'd never leave me. It's like, no, I knew you would leave me if this and this and this didn't pan out. So you understand what you're getting into with these transactional relationships, and you decide very early on if you're okay with that. I love that. I love things being upfront, clear, front and center. I personally enjoy that. There's no air of mystery, there's no room for misinterpretation, misunderstanding. Everything's clear and laid out. I appreciate that. You don't need to necessarily put a label on these transactional relationships. That's where it leads into sharing the bed with situationships. And you don't pressure someone into being everything for you. And on the flip side, they don't pressure you to be their everything. As someone who enjoys being solo, that's a huge weight lifted off my shoulders. Knowing that a man is not expecting me to be his everything, that makes me feel very free. And that could be the Sag in me. It could be the Sagittarius in me, but I love feeling free. There may be some times where I take full advantage of being free, and there may be some times where I don't, but I love the option. My favorite part about transactional relationships is that you're not dependent on anyone. Not even that person that's giving you that thing or providing those things for you. The reason why you don't look at transactional relationships as a source of unconditional love for you is because you have unconditional love within yourself. So any relationship that you have outside of yourself is wanted and not needed, and is conditional because that serves you. These conditions were placed there by you for you. So why wouldn't you honor them? There should be conditions on your love. Otherwise, is it really worth anything? When you're not expecting someone to fill your every gap in your life, you get to enjoy what they're actually good at and let go of the rest. Eat the meat spit out the bones. So here's how I approach it. Eating the meat and spitting out the bones essentially means take the good parts or the beneficial parts and leave the bad or the non-beneficial parts. Here's how I would approach it. I may know this one person who's amazing in bed. So when it comes to that kind of connection, and if that's something that I want, I call him. But then there's this other guy who is great with his hands and can help me build things around the house. And the guy that's great in bed, he has manicured fingers. He's not helping me fix light fixtures. He's not, okay, but he's good in bed. So that's him. That's his category. That's what he's good at. That's the meat that I get from him. No pun intended. Now the other guy that's great with his hands and can help me with things around the house, whenever I need something done around the house, I call him. Oh, that's using him. Well, you can't force anybody to do anything. I'm not putting a gun in nobody's head. I'm not giving anybody any ultimatums. I'm not giving anybody any false hope. So if he didn't want to help me, he would not help me. If I call him and say, hey, can you help me fix this thing in my kitchen? It broke down. He could easily say no, but he doesn't. He says yes. Not only does he say yes, but he says, when can I come over? Because he's getting something from me that he wants as well. Again, a fair exchange is no robbery. Another person is the best travel buddy ever. And he's a man. And when I want an adventure and I want to be, because Lord have mercy, these girl group chats, you'll be lucky nowadays. And I understand money's tight for everybody, but you'll be lucky if you get a successful trip that makes it out of the group chat. Y'all know what I'm saying. So this is a true story here. I have a guy friend, love him to death, and he's always down to travel. He's a traveler. I'm a traveler. We're going to Dubai next month. Like, we travel often together. First of all, if I had a boyfriend, would that be appropriate? Probably not. Second of all, I like him for traveling. He likes me for traveling. So that's what we do together. We call each other up when we're ready to travel. Now, in my instance, he's a really good friend of mine, so we actually talk more often than that. He has more categories than just one. But the main category, the things that we do together, is travel. And him and I could never be together because he would be a terrible partner. He'd be a terrible boyfriend. He would be a terrible husband. And y'all already know I don't want that. But even if I did want that, he would not be that. There are some things that certain people are good at, and there's other things that they're not good at. That is what I love about transactional relationships, is you're able to look at things logically and objectively. I'm not looking at people to be my everything. You know how unrealistic that is for somebody to be good at everything, beneficial to you in every way? That's so rare. And if you have somebody that is good at everything and beneficial to your life in every single way, amazing. But don't shame the girls or look down on people that have chosen to get the good parts of multiple people instead of searching their whole life to find one person who is excelling at everything. There's many ways to skin a pig, or whatever the saying is, right? Now, let's be real here for a second. And I don't want to compare myself to a man, but I'm going to. The exact thing that I just said I don't want to do, I'm about to do. Because it needs to be said. Let's be real. This is how men operate. Let's just be honest. This is how men operate. Even if you think you have a unicorn, whether they admit it or not. A guy might have a girlfriend or a wife who's great at being a homemaker, but he might be seeing someone else for sexual excitement. Men eat the meat and spit out the bones with women in their life for the entire life. Even if they have a, quote, main, they have these side dishes, for lack of better terms, but these are the modern terms that you've heard of. They have these side dishes, and it's not that the main is not doing everything right, quote, right, or everything that they could be doing. And, they could be an amazing woman. The main woman could be an amazing woman, but he's getting something different from these sides that the main woman just is not and probably cannot be. But you'll have these mains that'll try to mold themselves into being it's very rare that you're going to be everything for every man. It's very, very rare. And I'm just too much of a realist to believe anything different. I love that with transactional relationships, I don't have to lie to anybody. And I don't have to make promises that I don't intend to keep. No one in my life is confused about their role or where they stand with me. No one. No one. And I sleep good at night knowing that. So that's the key. Transparency. Everyone in a transactional relationship knows their role and what they're getting out of it. There's no manipulation. There's no false promises. It's just mutual benefit. When expectations are clear, there's so much less emotional baggage. You know, the emotional baggage and the hurt and the turmoil comes from the lies and the deception and the manipulation. That's where that emotional baggage comes from. But in a transactional relationship, both sides get what they want without the pressure to be more than they're capable of. I'm going to repeat that. In a transactional relationship, both sides get what they want without the pressure to be more than they're capable of. Ooh, I should put that on a t-shirt. So thank you guys for listening to this video. Let me know in the comments what you think of transactional relationships. Did something that I said click for you? Do you feel differently about them now, or do you still feel the same before you clicked on this video? I would love to know. If you are involved in transactional relationships or you have in the past, do they work for you? What has been your experience? And I'll see y'all in my next video.